Welcome to An Introduction to OverDrive Coding. I'm John Goldsmith, Director and OverDrive Trainer, and I'll give you a brief glimpse at what it takes to code the rundown for a newscast or your show here in the Media Center. There's work to do before heading into the control room and hopping down into the director's seat in front of the OverDrive rundown control.
Q Taylor, saw it coming up.
And all of this work can take place out in the newsroom. Step 1. Talk to the producers and confirm that the rundown is final. You'll need to learn the flow of the rundown, code every story, as well as catch and correct producer mistakes, reporter mistakes, or MJ mistakes in the rundown. Going through the rundown is so important. You do this because you want to understand what the producers expect. You want to learn about any tricky sections of the show. You want to be comfortable with the newscast you're about to direct. Learning the rundown is the most important thing you can do to ensure a flawless show. Let's jump into iNews, or whichever NRCS, aka Newsroom Computer System, you're using. When the rundown is final, that means just one simple thing. The lead producer has done the renumber all command in iNews, and every line in the rundown, every story has a unique page number. After the rundown is final, the rundown can still change. Stories can be dragged up or dragged down. New stories can be inserted. Stories can be floated. Stories can change which anchor's reading them. Breaking news can totally rewrite the rundown. But the page number of the stories is locked. When they tell you in the show that A15 through A19 is floated, you will know exactly which stories the producers are speaking about. Okay, the rundown is final. Your first responsibility is to fill in the production column, thereby allowing all members of the news team to look at the rundown and visualize the show before stepping into the studio. By filling out the production column first, you'll know exactly what type of coding you'll need to place into each story form. Hopefully, by this point in your training, you understand how to fill in the production column. But just in case you need a little refresher, let's look at page A30. The talent column is labeled L. That's your anchor Lauren. You know that Lauren sits in the third chair at the anchor desk. Therefore, she'll be wearing mic 3, and she'll be looking into camera 1. Camera 1. Note the SS and cutline column. The graphics producer has made an OTS graphic for this story, aka over-the-shoulder graphic. So therefore, we know it's camera 1, we know an over-the-shoulder graphic has been made. The production on this page is a 1 box. Go through the entire rundown and fill it in. Fill in that production column in iNews. Let's look at a typical story form in the rundown. Let's go to A09. It's a VO. This is how the story form looks before you, the director, have coded it. You see the infamous green line. This is unique to the Media Center where we created this green line. It's just dummy text. It allows you to place the OverDrive commands up at the top of the script, and it keeps the producers and reporters and MJs below that green line where they do their work, and they won't accidentally delete any of your coding. You have 4 production grommets, these little blue squares. The grommets correspond to the fields on the left-hand side. There are 2 types of production grommets, and I would say the easiest way to understand them is by the text color. Black text, that means that this is notes or it's an iNews function. If you see blue text, that means that this is an expression or an OverDrive command. And as a director, you should know every blue line corresponds to a function you'll play out in the OverDrive rundown control. The first grommet, note it's black text. It is a simple message to the producers, reporters, and MJs. Everything above the green line is OverDrive commands. Do not delete them. The second grommet corresponds to this take VO message. The third grommet, note it's blue. It's a production grommet. So how do we tell if it's an expression or OverDrive command? Well, let's look at the very beginning. This blue text begins with an asterisk and then CG for character generator. That tells us that this is an expression command, and it's a graphic coming out of the expression server. Next, we see a bracket with the number 1. That means it'll be coming out of expression channel 1. So we can assume that this is a lower third. Sure enough, it's named Locator Nashville, Tennessee. The final grommet, notice it's black text again. This is where the video editor inserted the information that the TRT of this video clip is 30 seconds. That's how a VO looks before you've coded it. Let's take a look at another story before it's been coded, but let's actually code it. If I look at page A30, which earlier we made a 1 box, we know it's a camera shot, camera 1. Here's the story form before we coded it. The second grommet corresponds to this blue text, which is above the green line, aka producers, reporters, MJs, you can't delete this. Again, it's an asterisk, then the letters CG, that means it's a graphic. The bracket tells us it's going to come out of expression channel 2. The expression template name lets us know that this is an OTS, an over-the-shoulder graphic. The cut line or text that will appear on the graphic will read Rent Battle. And then finally, it explains which targa, which piece of art, is linked to this OTS. You know, as a director, you are responsible for coding every story in the show. Let's code this one. We put in the production column that it's a 1 box, so we've got to put that code in. Let's open the OverDrive iNews plugin by going to the Tools pull-down menu all the way to the bottom where it says Plugins, then select Ross iNews Editor. That will open the iNews plugin. Normally it opens on the left-hand side of iNews. In this layout, I've displayed all the OverDrive templates. Again, we need a 1 box for our female news anchor Lauren, so let's double-click on the icon which shows Camera 1 with an OTS. It will open the template summary. Here we have 3 tabs across the top: Shot Summary, MLEs and Buses, Audio Settings. On the first tab, let's look at your transition. All templates default to a cut, meaning they're going to cut this onto program. But depending on the show or the story, you may need to do a wipe to this. You may need to dissolve to this 1 box, maybe a custom wipe. You can decide the transition to this command from the pull-down menu. Also here in the middle of the first tab is Custom Controls. Is there another element that needs to happen as you play out this command and put this 1 box on air? Perhaps you need the tease music to start as this goes on air. From the pull-down menu, you would select Tease Music. When do you want the tease music to start playing? As soon as this goes on air. So on the next pull-down over, Auto Run, you'll pull down and select On Air. Now, when you cut to this on air, the tease music will start. Let's take a look at the middle tab, MLEs and Buses. The template knows you want Camera 1. Because you picked this specific template with an OTS in it and the female news anchor icon, it knows you want a 1 box, so it defaults to Camera 1, Clip or Shot 2 in the Clip Details field. Where did this clip or shot 2 come from? All the camera's clips, I like to call them shots, but OverDrive calls them clips. They are defined not in OverDrive, but actually in the camera control unit. In our case, it's the Telemetrics RCCP. If you look and select Camera 1 on the camera control unit, you'll know that Camera 1's second saved shot is a box shot for the person sitting in chair 3. The MLEs and Buses on a camera shot, it needs to know which shot you want the camera to move to. So specifically, we're putting it Camera 1, the second saved shot, or in its terminology, the second saved clip. The third tab is Audio Settings. By selecting this specific template, the Camera 1 over-the-shoulder template with the female news anchor icon, the audio is preset to the third mic, aka the microphone worn by the person sitting in the third chair. What if in this particular story you need to hear other audio, like your anchor's cross-talking, or you need to have something else hot while this is on air? To add extra audio sources, you would just click on the green plus button Then select the audio source from the pull-down menu. Because we selected this specific template, which was specifically made for Camera 1 over-the-shoulder on the female news anchor, we really don't have to change anything at all for this particular story. But we do have to drag it into the story. We do have to code every story, including this one. It's not just that we have to code it, we have to place this command into the correct position in the story. The correct location is critical. Let's think this through. Put on your directing hat. You would never put a one box on air unless the OTS graphic was the correct one that was supposed to be on air for that story. So obviously, if we think about the order of these grommets, the first command in this story must be the expression command, the one that loads the correct over-the-shoulder graphic into expression. So when we drag our one-box command into the story, it needs to be after the expression over-the-shoulder command. AKA, let's just talk through it again. The first command is going to load the correct graphic. The second command is going to take that graphic, combine it with Camera 1 and the correct audio mic, and cut to it on air. Let's see if you can read the blue text of this one-box OverDrive command you just coded into the story. Begins asterisk, then the letters OD. Stands for OverDrive. It reads Camera 1. Then it reads News 2. This is the second news anchor at the desk. Looking at the desk, left to right. There's one news anchor, then the second one. OTSR lets us know that this over-the-shoulder will appear on the right side of the screen, and that it will be using shot, or in its terminology, clip 2 of Camera 1. Perfect. Once you become familiar with this coding and this blue text, you will be able to read the show from an iNews rundown as if you were sitting in the control room looking at the OverDrive rundown controller. Got it? Perfect. Now you've got to code every other story in the show. Have fun. You know what? Let's cheat a little bit. Within iNews, under Show, ATVN Template, we've made a director coding rundown, which is loaded with pre-built OverDrive commands. You can just copy and paste them into your story forms. You don't even have to open the OverDrive iNews plugin each and every time. Let's look at some more complex coding in this show. The story in BO1 has a lot happening in it. It's coming back from a commercial break, then its anchor's going to toss to a reporter in the field via a double box. Let's read the blue text and see if we can understand this OverDrive command code and learn what the director will be doing in this story. Looking at the blue text. First command up. Seems like it's Camera 3 on a close-up. Note that the transition is a dissolve. You're coming back from break, you want to dissolve up. At the same time, the news bug needs to pop back in after the break. And Camera 3, clip 1, shot 1, a close-up. Next blue command. Asterisk CG. You'll be bringing in the anchor's name, lower third. Then you'll load a full screen graphic into Expression Channel 2. The cut line or text on the graphic will read Student Entrepreneurs. Finally, you will then cut to a double box combining the graphic, Camera 3 on shot 1, clip 1, and the TVU signal out in the field. Whew! 4 commands in one story. Who made this show? After you've coded the entire show, the producers might start making changes. That's what's great about the show, is it changes with the news. And therefore, you might need to tweak some of your OverDrive coding. To make any changes to an OverDrive command within iNews, just double-click on the blue text to open that specific code and adjust away. Okay, you've done the tricky stuff. Now it's time to head into the control room and start run-throughs. This has been an intro to coding. Ask questions in the comments if you have them.